The rancher married the chief's ugly daughter. When he saw her face, everyone gasped. His days began early, often before the sun rose, and ended late, long after the sky turned golden with sunset. The ranch was not very large, but it had enough space for cattle, a small vegetable garden, and a few horses. Samuel loved every part of it. To him, life was about hard work, honesty, and respect for the land. The animals depended on him, and he depended on them. This rhythm of life suited him perfectly, and he rarely thought about changing it. Despite his contentment, Samuel sometimes felt a quiet loneliness. Most of his neighbors were busy with their own families, and Samuel had no close friends his age. Villagers often saw him working alone and wondered why he had not married yet. They whispered among themselves, suggesting that perhaps Samuel was too picky or too shy to find a wife. Samuel, however, paid little attention to the gossip. He believed that love could not be rushed, and he preferred to wait for someone who truly understood him. In the nearby village lived Ilara, the daughter of the chief. Unlike Samuel, Ilara's life had been shaped by the opinions of others. From a young age, people in the village had labeled her as ugly. It was not because she had anything wrong with her. Her eyes sparkled with intelligence, her hands were gentle, and her voice carried a warm calmness. But because she was not conventionally beautiful in the way the villagers expected. Her features were plain, her hair dark and unremarkable, and she often preferred simple clothing over fancy dresses. People who only saw appearances judged her harshly, and children often teased her when they played together. Ilara grew up in a household full of love, however. Her father, the village chief, and her mother always encouraged her to focus on her strengths. They taught her to be kind, courageous, and clever. While the villagers' words could sting, her family's support gave her confidence. She spent her time learning about the world, reading whenever she could, and helping others in the village. Even though many avoided her, she never allowed their harsh judgments to make her bitter. Instead, she worked hard to show kindness in every action. Life for Samuel and Ilara ran on parallel tracks, rarely intersecting. Samuel's days were filled with the routine of ranch work, feeding the animals, repairing fences, and tending to the land. He had little time for the village gossip or festivals, though he occasionally attended events when necessary. His neighbors admired his dedication and work ethic. Some tried to encourage him to marry, suggesting women from nearby villages, but Samuel always shook his head politely. He did not wish to marry for convenience or appearance alone. Meanwhile, Ilara's days were spent helping her parents manage their household, attending to village matters when needed, and occasionally visiting nearby families to offer assistance. She had a quiet presence that many villagers overlooked, yet those who took the time to know her realized that she was thoughtful, brave, and surprisingly witty. She had a love for stories and often spent evenings recounting tales to younger children, teaching them lessons about honesty, courage, and kindness. Despite their separate lives, fate seemed to move quietly toward them. One day, Samuel had to travel to the chief's village to buy supplies. He rode his horse through the winding paths, passing fields of golden wheat and clusters of tall trees. The village was lively, with people working, children playing, and merchants selling goods. Samuel had visited the village before, but he always kept to himself, focusing only on what he had come for. As he walked through the market, balancing sacks of grain and a bundle of tools, he noticed a young woman struggling to carry a heavy bucket of water. She tried to keep her balance on the uneven path, but the bucket tipped dangerously. Without thinking, Samuel rushed forward and steadied the bucket, preventing the water from spilling. "Thank you," the girl said softly, looking up at him. Her voice had a calm warmth that made Samuel smile. "You're welcome," Samuel replied. "It's easy to lose balance on these paths. Are you okay?" The girl nodded, her dark hair falling gently around her face. "I'm fine. I appreciate your help." Samuel noticed something different in her, something beyond appearances. There was a quiet strength in her posture, a grace in the way she carried herself despite the difficult task. Her eyes, he realized, held curiosity and intelligence, as if she wanted to understand the world around her deeply. Samuel had helped many people in his life, but something about this moment made him pause. "My name is Samuel," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Alara," she replied, shaking his hand gently. The simple introduction marked the beginning of an unexpected connection. Samuel continued with his purchases, but he found his thoughts returning to the young woman who had carried herself with such quiet determination. Alara, on the other hand, felt an unusual sense of ease around Samuel. He did not seem to judge her like others in the village. Instead, he treated her with respect and genuine attention. Over the next few days, Samuel found reasons to return to the village. Each time he would cross paths with Alara, and their conversations grew longer and more personal. They spoke about the land, animals, books, and dreams for the future. Samuel discovered that Alara was clever and kind, with a natural sense of responsibility and care for others. She in turn admired Samuel's honesty, dedication, and quiet courage. The villagers, however, noticed their growing closeness. Whispers spread quickly. "Why would Samuel, the rancher, talk to the chief's daughter? She is not beautiful like others," they murmured. Some laughed, while others shook their heads in disbelief. But Samuel did not pay attention to the gossip, and Alara continued to be herself, unbothered by the opinions of the crowd. Through these encounters, both Samuel and Alara began to see each other in a new light. Samuel realized that beauty was not just in the face, but in the way a person carried themselves, in their actions, and in their heart. Alara began to trust that someone could see beyond her outward appearance, someone who could appreciate her for who she truly was. By the time Samuel left the village to return to his ranch, he felt a strange emptiness. The thought of leaving Alara behind was difficult to bear. She, too, felt a quiet hope blooming inside her, realizing that perhaps there was someone in the world who could love her for herself. Neither fully understood the depth of their connection yet, but both sensed that life was about to change in ways they could never have imagined. And so, the simple life of the rancher and the quiet existence of the chief's daughter continued, running parallel to each other, yet inching closer with each encounter. The stage was set for a story of love, courage, and the breaking of shallow judgments, a story that would soon surprise not only the villagers but the world around them. Samuel had returned to his ranch after his first meeting with Alara, but the memory of her stayed with him. Every morning as he fed the cattle and checked the fences, he found his mind wandering to her. Her gentle voice, the calm in her eyes, and the quiet strength she carried made him think differently about people, about beauty, kindness, and the heart behind a person. Samuel had spent so many years judging life through routine and work, yet Alara's presence reminded him that life held unexpected surprises. Meanwhile, back in the chief's village, Alara also thought about Samuel. She found herself smiling when she remembered the way he had helped her with the heavy bucket of water, the way he had listened so attentively, and the way he had treated her like a person of importance, not as someone to be dismissed because of appearance. For so long, people had ignored her or spoken harshly about her looks, but Samuel's respect and simple honesty felt like a fresh breeze in her life. She wondered whether someone could truly care for her in a way that went beyond superficial beauty. As the days passed, Samuel found himself making more trips to the village, sometimes for supplies, sometimes simply to check on business matters. Each visit brought new opportunities to see Alara. Sometimes they met near the river, where the water ran clear and cool, and birds chirped happily in the trees. Other times, their paths crossed near the market, where Samuel would smile warmly as Alara balanced her basket of fruits and vegetables. Every encounter strengthened their connection. One afternoon, Samuel noticed Alara helping a small child who had fallen off his bicycle. She knelt beside him, checking for injuries, soothing him with a soft voice, and ensuring he felt safe. Samuel watched from a distance, a quiet admiration swelling in his chest. He realized that her kindness was not limited to a few, it extended to anyone in need. The way she moved, spoke, and cared for others revealed a beauty far more important than appearances. He felt a growing respect for her courage and selflessness. Alara, on her part, began to appreciate Samuel's dedication to honesty and hard work. She noticed how he treated everyone with fairness and respect, whether they were his friends or strangers. Samuel never boasted or acted superior. Instead, he seemed comfortable in his own skin, confident in his actions without needing approval from others. Alara admired his ability to focus on what truly mattered in life: work, integrity, and the well-being of those around him. Their friendship continued to grow quietly. They talked about many things: farming techniques, the importance of caring for animals, books they had read, and the history of the village and its people. Samuel shared stories of his childhood, working alongside his father on the ranch, learning lessons about responsibility, patience, and courage. Alara shared tales of her own upbringing, her dreams for the village, and her desire to help people live better lives. Both found comfort in the shared understanding that life could be simple yet meaningful. Villagers began noticing the unusual friendship between the rancher and the chief's daughter. At first, there was a mix of curiosity and gossip. Some laughed quietly, unable to imagine why Samuel would pay attention to Alara. Others shook their heads, thinking that such a friendship could not last. They whispered about appearances and questioned Samuel's motives. "She is plain and quiet. He is strong and handsome. How can this work?" they said. But Samuel did not care about the whispers, and Alara did not let the opinions of others disturb her. One day, a local festival was held in the chief's village. People decorated the streets with colorful flowers, hung lanterns, and prepared traditional foods. It was a day of music, dance, and celebration. Samuel decided to attend, hoping to experience the festive atmosphere and perhaps meet Alara in a more relaxed setting. As he walked through the lively streets, he felt a sense of excitement mixed with nervousness. He had never been much for festivals, preferring the quiet of his ranch, but something about this day made him eager to step outside his comfort zone. He found Alara near a fountain, helping younger children play a traditional game. She laughed softly, her eyes sparkling with joy, and her smile seemed brighter than he had ever imagined. Samuel approached her carefully, not wanting to disturb the happiness she shared with the children. "Alara," he said softly, "may I join you?" She looked up and nodded, her smile widening. "Of course, Samuel, the more the merrier." Together, they joined the children, teaching them the rules and encouraging them to play fairly. Samuel noticed how naturally Alara guided others, her patience and gentle instructions making everyone feel included. It was a side of her that the villagers rarely saw, and it impressed him deeply. He realized that the heart of a person often showed itself in how they treated others, not in appearances or social expectations. As the sun set, lanterns were lit, casting a golden glow over the festival. Music filled the air and people began to dance in circles, laughing and enjoying the celebration. Samuel and Alara stood together for a moment, watching the festivities. There was a comfortable silence between them, a sense of understanding that words could not fully express. In that moment, Samuel knew that his feelings for Alara were more than friendship. She was someone he wanted to know deeply, someone whose character and kindness had captured his respect and admiration. Alara, too, felt a new warmth in her heart. She realized that Samuel saw her in a way no one else had. He noticed her intelligence, her courage, and her compassion. He valued the way she thought, spoke, and cared for others. For the first time in her life, she felt truly seen, not for her appearance but for her essence, her true self. In the following days, Samuel found himself thinking of ways to spend more time with Alara. He would bring small gifts, like fresh vegetables from his garden or rare herbs he found while working on the ranch. Alara appreciated these thoughtful gestures, not because of the material value, but because of the thoughtfulness and care behind them. Their bond continued to strengthen, and their conversations grew more personal. They began to share dreams and fears, hopes and regrets, finding comfort in each other's honesty. However, the villagers' gossip did not stop. Some were openly critical, whispering that Samuel should focus on someone more suitable. Others doubted Alara's ability to hold Samuel's attention, but Samuel and Alara paid little attention to these voices. They knew the value of understanding and mutual respect, and they trusted that true connections were built on character, not appearances. One day, while walking near the river, Samuel and Alara sat under the shade of a large tree, watching the water flow gently. Samuel turned to her and said softly, "Alara, I have never met anyone like you. You are kind, wise, and brave. I feel something I cannot explain." Alara looked into his eyes, feeling a rush of warmth. "Samuel, I feel the same. You see me for who I truly am." "That is something I have never experienced before." They shared a quiet moment, understanding that their connection went beyond friendship. It was a bond built on trust, respect, and admiration. Both realized that their lives were no longer separate. They had begun a journey together, one that would challenge prejudices, overcome doubts, and reveal the true meaning of love. As the days turned into weeks, Samuel and Alara continued to meet, their bond deepening with every encounter. Samuel began to imagine a future with her, working side by side on the ranch, sharing joys and responsibilities, and supporting each other through life's challenges. Alara, too, dreamed of a life where she could be appreciated for her heart and mind, a life filled with love, respect, and understanding. And so, their story grew quietly, away from the critical eyes of the villagers, yet steadily moving toward a future where love would triumph over judgment, and true beauty would be recognized not in appearances, but in the strength and kindness of the heart. Over the following months, Samuel and Alara's bond grew stronger with each meeting. What began as casual encounters during errands or at the riverbank had blossomed into a genuine friendship rooted in understanding, respect, and quiet admiration. They shared many conversations, often discussing small details of daily life, dreams for the future, and lessons they had learned from their past. Each discussion revealed new sides of their personalities, and with every story exchanged, they felt increasingly connected. Samuel began noticing little things about Alara that went beyond her gentle demeanor. He observed the way her eyes lit up when she spoke about her dreams for helping the village, the way she laughed quietly when something genuinely amused her, and the careful thought she put into every action. Alara, in turn, admired Samuel's dedication to his work, his unwavering honesty, and the way he treated animals and people with equal care. Their respect for each other's strengths created a foundation that neither of them had experienced before. Despite their growing closeness, their relationship remained discreet. The villagers continued to gossip, curious about the rancher's frequent trips to the village and his prolonged conversations with Alara. Some whispered that he might be pursuing her, others laughed, saying it would never work. Yet Samuel and Alara paid little attention to the chatter. They knew that true connections were built quietly, away from prying eyes, and that their bond could not be measured by public opinion. One crisp morning, Samuel decided to invite Alara to his ranch. It was a bold step, as he had never introduced anyone to his home outside of family or close friends. He wanted her to see the life he led, the land he cared for, and the animals he nurtured. When Alara arrived, she was struck by the serene beauty of the ranch. Rolling fields stretched under the open sky, cattle grazed peacefully, and the scent of fresh hay filled the air. Samuel led her through the pastures, explaining his daily routine, introducing her to the animals and sharing small stories about life on the ranch. Alara was fascinated by Samuel's world. She watched him work with the animals, admired his skill with the horses, and listened intently as he described the challenges and joys of ranch life. For the first time, she saw a side of him that few others had witnessed, a combination of strength, patience, and quiet determination. As they walked through the fields, she realized how deeply Samuel cared for every living creature on the land. His respect for life, whether human or animal, reflected a heart that was honest, compassionate, and unwavering. They spent the afternoon together, helping with small tasks around the ranch. Samuel showed Alara how to tend to the cattle, repair a fence, and prepare the fields for planting. She followed his instructions carefully, enjoying the hands-on experience and the sense of accomplishment it gave her. Samuel admired her eagerness to learn, her attention to detail, and the way she approached each task with patience and care. The simple act of working side by side strengthened their bond, creating memories they would both cherish for years to come. As the sun began to set, they sat on a small hill overlooking the ranch. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, and a gentle breeze rustled through the trees. Samuel turned to Alara and said softly, "I never realized how much a place could feel alive until I saw it through your eyes. You notice things I sometimes take for granted." Alara smiled, her cheeks warm with the soft glow of the evening sun. "And I never realized how much beauty there is in quiet work and patience. Your life here is full of lessons, Samuel. It teaches me to appreciate small things, to care deeply, and to act with honesty." In that quiet moment, both of them understood that their connection had grown beyond friendship. It was a bond based on admiration, respect, and shared values. They had learned to see each other as more than appearances, more than social expectations, and more than the shallow judgments of the villagers. Their relationship was genuine, rooted in the heart, and blossoming into something rare and precious. Over the next few weeks, Samuel and Alara continued to meet regularly. They explored the countryside together, sometimes walking along riverbanks, other times climbing small hills to watch the sun rise or set. Each adventure brought them closer, allowing them to share personal stories, dreams, and even fears. Samuel confided in Alara about his childhood on the ranch, the challenges he had faced after his father passed away, and the lessons he had learned about responsibility and perseverance. Alara shared stories about her upbringing in the chief's household, her desire to help others, and the struggle of being judged by appearances. Through these exchanges, both of them found comfort and understanding. Samuel realized that Alara's strength did not lie in her physical appearance, as the villagers had judged, but in her resilience, her intelligence, and her unwavering kindness. Alara realized that Samuel's strength was not merely in his work or his physical abilities, but in his integrity, patience, and the care he extended to every living thing. Their mutual respect deepened, and with it, a quiet love began to grow. One day, as they were walking through a quiet meadow, they stumbled upon a small, injured bird lying in the grass. Samuel gently picked it up and examined its wings. "It seems to have fallen from its nest," he said. "We should help it." Alara nodded, carefully holding the bird as Samuel prepared a small box with soft leaves. Together, they nurtured the tiny creature, feeding it water and providing a safe place to recover. Over the next few days, Samuel and Alara took turns visiting the bird, ensuring it was safe and comfortable. Watching them work together, the villagers who had seen them sometimes began to change their opinions, quietly realizing that their bond was genuine and that their actions spoke far louder than words. As spring turned into summer, the relationship between Samuel and Alara became more visible. Villagers noticed the way they laughed together, the way they helped each other, and the quiet comfort they seemed to find in each other's company. Some began to speak kindly of their connection, recognizing that love was not always about appearances, but about the heart and character. Others remained skeptical, holding onto their shallow judgments, but Samuel and Alara continued their journey undeterred. One evening, Samuel invited Alara to a small gathering at his ranch. He wanted her to meet the few friends he had and to see the life he cherished. The gathering was simple, with a small fire, warm food, and laughter filling the air. Alara's presence brought a calm warmth to the event. Samuel's friends noticed her kindness, her intelligence, and her gentle humor. By the end of the evening, even the most skeptical villagers began to see that Alara's beauty was not in her appearance, but in her heart. That night, as Samuel and Alara sat under the stars, he spoke softly. "Alara, I have come to realize something important. True beauty is not in how the world sees us, but in how we care for it and for each other. You have shown me that in ways I never expected." Alara smiled, feeling a warmth she had never experienced before. "And you, Samuel, have shown me that kindness, patience, and honesty are far more valuable than any judgment or opinion. You make me feel seen, and that is something I will always treasure." The summer days continued, filled with shared work, quiet adventures, and laughter. Samuel and Alara's connection grew stronger, and both began to understand that their feelings were no longer just friendship. They had fallen in love. It was a love built on respect, admiration, and the recognition of each other's true worth. It was a love that had the power to overcome gossip, doubts, and shallow judgments. And so, their relationship blossomed quietly but firmly, preparing both of them for the next chapter of their lives. A chapter where love would face challenges, reveal truths, and ultimately inspire not just themselves, but everyone around them. Samuel and Alara had found in each other a rare treasure, a bond that was genuine, steadfast, and full of the kind of love that changes lives. After months of growing closeness and shared experiences, Samuel realized that his feelings for Alara had grown into something deeper than admiration or friendship. He cared for her in a way he had never felt for anyone else. Every time he saw her smile, watched her help someone in need, or listened to her speak with quiet wisdom, his heart felt a warmth that was impossible to ignore. He knew he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. Alara, too, had begun to understand her feelings for Samuel. She had grown to trust him deeply, knowing that he saw her for who she truly was and valued her character above all else. His kindness, honesty, and courage had shown her that genuine love was not about appearances, wealth, or social status, but about mutual respect, understanding, and care. Together, they had discovered a bond that neither the villagers, whispers, nor society's shallow judgments could break. One morning, Samuel decided it was time to take the next step. He had planned carefully, wanting to propose to Alara in a way that reflected their shared values and the life they had built together. He wanted it to be private, meaningful, and heartfelt. He invited Alara to the ranch, saying he had something special to show her. She arrived early, curious and cheerful, unaware of the depth of Samuel's intentions. As she entered the ranch, Samuel greeted her with a warm smile. "Alara, I'm glad you came. I want to show you something important," he said. He led her to the edge of the pasture, where the sun was just beginning to rise, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and orange. The animals were calm, grazing peacefully, and a gentle breeze carried the fresh scent of hay and earth. Samuel took a deep breath and turned to face her. "Alara," he began, his voice steady but full of emotion, "over the past months, I have come to realize something very important. I have seen your kindness, your courage, and your intelligence. I have seen the way you care for others, the way you think, and the way you live your life with honesty and integrity. You are unlike anyone I have ever met, and I cannot imagine my life without you." Alara listened quietly, her heart beating faster with every word. She had felt a similar depth of emotion, but hearing Samuel speak it aloud made her feel both nervous and elated. "I want to spend the rest of my life with you, Alara," Samuel continued. "Will you marry me?" Alara's eyes widened with surprise, and for a moment she could not speak. Her mind raced with emotion, joy, disbelief, and a sense of profound happiness. Finally, tears of joy welled up in her eyes, and she nodded, smiling through her tears. "Yes, Samuel, I will marry you." Samuel felt a wave of relief and happiness wash over him. He gently took her hand, and they stood together in the quiet beauty of the ranch, knowing that this moment marked the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. However, their joy was not without challenges. The villagers, as always, had their opinions. When news of the engagement reached them, reactions were mixed. Some were astonished, unable to imagine the rancher choosing the chief's daughter. Others were skeptical, focusing on Alara's appearance rather than her character. Gossip spread quickly, with whispers questioning whether Samuel had made a mistake or whether Alara could truly be worthy of his love. Despite the murmurs, Samuel and Alara remained steadfast. They knew that their love was genuine, and they refused to let shallow judgments affect their happiness. They focused instead on planning a wedding that reflected their shared values, simple, meaningful, and filled with love rather than extravagance. The chief, Alara's father, was initially hesitant. He cared deeply for his daughter and had always wished for her happiness, but he also worried about the villagers' opinions and whether Samuel could truly provide for her. Over time, however, he observed Samuel closely. His dedication to the ranch, his honesty, and the genuine affection he showed Alara. The chief saw that Samuel's intentions were pure and that his love for Alara was real. Finally, he gave his blessing, recognizing that his daughter had found someone who respected and cherished her. The wedding day arrived, and the entire village gathered to witness the union. Simple decorations adorned the village square, and the air was filled with the aroma of freshly baked bread and sweet flowers. People from nearby villages came to celebrate, curious about the couple whose love had defied expectations. Samuel looked nervous but excited, while Alara radiated a calm joy, her heart full of happiness. When Alara walked toward Samuel in her wedding attire, a hush fell over the crowd. She looked radiant, not because of traditional beauty standards, but because of the light that shone from within her. Her eyes sparkled with love, courage, and confidence, and her smile reflected the joy of being seen and cherished for who she truly was. Samuel could not believe his eyes. He felt his heart swell with pride and admiration. In that moment, he knew without a doubt that he had made the right choice. The villagers gasped, not at ugliness as some might have expected, but because of the transformation they witnessed. It was the transformation that comes from love, respect, and recognition of true character. Alara's beauty was now undeniable, not because it had changed physically, but because her heart and spirit shone brightly. People who had once doubted her began to see her in a new light, realizing that the judgments they had made were shallow and unfair. As Samuel and Alara exchanged vows, their voices were steady, filled with sincerity and emotion. They promised to support each other, to care for one another, and to face life's challenges together. They spoke of respect, patience, and shared dreams, making clear that their union was built on values that went far deeper than appearances or social expectations. The ceremony was simple, heartfelt, and beautiful, a true reflection of the love that had grown quietly but strongly between them. After the ceremony, celebrations began. Villagers brought gifts, sang songs, and shared stories. Even those who had doubted the union could not help but be moved by the genuine happiness radiating from Samuel and Alara. The couple's love was infectious, inspiring others to reflect on their own judgments and reconsider what truly mattered in life. As the day turned into evening, Samuel and Alara slipped away from the crowd to walk hand in hand through the fields surrounding the village. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden light over the land. They stopped by the river, watching the water flow gently, and felt a quiet peace settle over them. "Alara," Samuel said softly, "today I realize that love can change everything. It can make people see what truly matters. I feel so grateful that I found you." Alara smiled, her eyes glistening with emotion. "And I am grateful for you, Samuel. You saw me when others did not. You loved me for who I am, and that is something I will cherish forever." Their hearts were full, knowing that they had overcome the challenges of judgment, gossip, and doubt. They had found in each other a love that was strong, genuine, and enduring, a love that would guide them through every step of their shared life. The villagers gradually came to understand the depth of Samuel and Alara's bond. Over time, admiration replaced skepticism. People began to see Alara's true beauty, her courage, kindness, and wisdom. Samuel's choice inspired others to value character over appearances, and their story became a quiet legend in the village, a reminder that true love is based on respect, understanding, and the heart rather than shallow judgments. By the end of the day, Samuel and Alara returned to the ranch, hand in hand, ready to begin their life together. The land that had once been just Samuel's home now became the place where their shared dreams would grow. Together, they faced the future with hope, courage, and the knowledge that they had found something rare and precious, a love that could overcome prejudice, judgment, and doubt. After the wedding, Samuel and Alara settled into life on the ranch. The days were filled with work, laughter, and the quiet satisfaction of shared responsibilities. The ranch, once solely Samuel's domain, now became a home for both of them, a place where love, respect, and understanding shaped every corner of their life. From the very first day, it was clear that their union was more than a marriage. It was the merging of two hearts that had found a rare harmony. Alara adapted quickly to the rhythm of ranch life. She helped Samuel tend to the animals, feed the livestock, and maintain the fields. Though it was hard work, she approached every task with patience and a cheerful spirit. Samuel admired her resilience and the way she found joy in even the simplest chores. Together, they planted vegetables, repaired fences, and cared for the horses, finding comfort in teamwork and the quiet satisfaction of a day's labor. Their bond deepened with each shared task, and the ranch became a symbol of their partnership, a place where love and life intertwined seamlessly. The villagers, who had once whispered and doubted their relationship, began to see the transformation in both Samuel and Alara. Over time, their skepticism turned into admiration. People noticed how Alara's kindness and intelligence were not just qualities she possessed, but traits she actively shared with the community. She helped organize small events, taught children to read, and assisted neighbors with their daily tasks. The villagers began to realize that the woman they had once labeled ugly was, in fact, remarkable in every way. Her beauty was evident not in her appearance but in her actions, her heart, and her unwavering dedication to others. Samuel's reputation as a hardworking and honest rancher grew even stronger. He was admired not only for his skill with the land and animals, but also for his ability to treat everyone with fairness and respect. People noticed how Samuel supported Alara, valuing her opinion, seeking her advice, and respecting her choices. Their marriage became a model of partnership, showing that love and respect were more powerful than societal expectations or shallow judgments. Life on the ranch was not without challenges, but Samuel and Alara faced them together. There were storms that threatened the crops, illnesses that occasionally struck the livestock, and days when the work felt overwhelming. Yet, through every difficulty, they supported one another. Samuel would comfort Alara when she felt tired or discouraged, and she would offer encouragement and clever solutions during times of trouble. Their mutual respect and understanding, allowed them to navigate every obstacle, strengthening their relationship with each passing day. One morning, as they walked through the fields together, Samuel said, "Ilara, I feel so fortunate. We have built a life together that is filled with love, honesty, and purpose. I never imagined it could be like this." Ilara smiled, her eyes reflecting the morning sunlight. "Samuel, I feel the same. Our life is not perfect, but it is ours. We work together, support each other, and face everything side by side. That is what makes it beautiful." Their love also inspired the younger villagers. Children who had once teased Ilara began to see her differently, learning from her example that kindness and courage were far more valuable than outward appearances. Young adults in the village started to understand that relationships should be built on mutual respect, shared values, and admiration for each other's character. The story of Samuel and Ilara quietly changed the way people thought about love and beauty, proving that genuine connection goes beyond the superficial. As the seasons changed, Samuel and Ilara celebrated milestones together. They planted new crops in spring, harvested in summer, and stored provisions for winter. They built a small garden where Ilara grew flowers and herbs, turning a simple patch of land into a place of beauty and tranquility. Samuel constructed a new barn for the livestock, and Ilara helped design the layout to make it more comfortable and efficient. Every project, every shared effort, strengthened their bond and left a lasting imprint on the ranch, turning it into a home filled with love and life. Despite their busy lives, Samuel and Ilara always found time to enjoy quiet moments together. They would watch sunsets from the hill overlooking the fields, share stories by the fireplace, or take walks through the meadows when the weather was pleasant. These moments, though simple, were treasured deeply. They allowed the couple to reconnect, reflect on their journey, and appreciate the life they had built together. Samuel often marveled at how Ilara could turn even the most ordinary moments into something special, and she admired how Samuel found joy in the simple work of ranch life. Over time, their story spread beyond the village. Travelers and neighbors who heard of their union were inspired by the example of love, respect, and partnership that Samuel and Ilara represented. Some visited the ranch to see the couple who had transformed their lives through genuine care and understanding. Every visitor left with a lesson. True beauty lies in the heart, and love flourishes when built on mutual respect and admiration. Ilara's transformation was particularly remarkable to the villagers. The girl they had once dismissed as plain or awkward had grown into a confident, radiant woman. Her beauty was evident in her courage, her wisdom, and her ability to care for others. Samuel's respect and love had allowed her to shine, showing that true beauty is nurtured through kindness and self-respect. People began to admire not just her outward grace, but the strength of her character and the warmth of her heart. The couple also became a source of guidance for younger couples in the village. They shared stories about their early friendship, the challenges they had faced, and the importance of seeing beyond appearances. Their advice was simple yet profound. Value kindness, integrity, and understanding above all else. By modeling a partnership built on mutual respect, Samuel and Ilara helped the village grow closer and more compassionate, creating a community that increasingly valued the heart over appearances. Years passed, and life on the ranch remained filled with love, hard work, and simple pleasures. Samuel and Ilara continued to nurture each other and the land they shared. They celebrated small victories, comforted each other through losses, and built a life that was deeply satisfying and meaningful. Their love, tested by challenges and strengthened by respect, became a lasting testament to the power of genuine connection. One evening, as they sat under the stars, Ilara rested her head on Samuel's shoulder. "Samuel," she said softly, "our life is not like the stories the villagers once told. It is better. We have built something real, something that will last." Samuel smiled, wrapping an arm around her. "Yes, Ilara, We have shown that love is not about what others see, but about what we create together. Our life, our love, and our home, these are the things that truly matter. Their story became a quiet legend in the village. People remembered how Samuel had chosen Alara despite rumors and judgment, and how their love had blossomed into a partnership admired by all. It served as a reminder that love, respect, and understanding could overcome prejudice, transform lives, and inspire generations. Children who had grown up in the village learned from their example, carrying forward the lessons of kindness, courage, and appreciation for true character. And so, Samuel and Alara's life continued, full of work, joy, and shared purpose. They faced each day together, knowing that their love was strong enough to endure any challenge. The ranch flourished, the animals thrived, and the village grew closer and wiser through their example. Their journey, which had begun with a simple act of kindness and recognition of true character, had led to a life filled with love, admiration, and lasting happiness. In the end, Samuel and Alara's story was not just about a rancher and a chief's daughter. It was about the triumph of kindness over judgment, respect over appearances, and love over doubt. Their life together proved that true beauty lies in the heart, and that genuine love can change not only two lives but also an entire community. They had found in each other a rare and enduring treasure, a partnership built on trust, understanding, and the kind of love that inspires and endures forever.